Hello, 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 and welcome to Megan DiMartino Live. This is Wednesday, and I am so pleased to be with you today to share with you a journey that we've all been on together. This started last year. In the beginning of the year, it was, we all said, 2020 vision and new beginnings. There were so many, now we call them cliches, about last year. But it was quite a journey, was it not, for all of us? Last January, I was with my grandson in a DECA high school competition in Colorado Springs, and then I went on to Cancun and just basically was in a new birth, new life 2020 um, adventure. And then I submitted a entry form to the Austin Women's Magazine for their Women's Way Awards. And it was just a new birth, new life, always something new, preparation for the year. And then it hit. And we didn't know what hit, really. It was this kind of amorphous type of thing, this question mark. What is this and what is it going to do and how is it going to affect us? I came back from Mexico and within 2 weeks basically was told to close my business. And now I'm not unique in this. This is something that happened to us all over the world. I'm just sharing, excuse me, my personal experience. And as I saw that this was inevitable, I prepared for it. So I brought in products from my warehouse because I really didn't know how long it was going to be, and I didn't know really the extent of it and what really it entailed. But I brought a large order in from my warehouse, and we called clients, prepared and shared that we were going to be closed for until April 15th. And so we took their names and put it on a spreadsheet, and we'd call you when we reopened. And so that was the week of the 18th, 19th, and on the 21st of March was our last day in business until I said goodbye to my staff. We all said, let's do Zoom calls. Let's keep, in contact. I felt that very important about that because it was going to, create that continuity because we were all walking into the unknown. So that evening, the 21st of March, 2020, I was sitting in the boutique of the Novita Spa Medical Rejuvenation Clinic by myself after the gals left. And I sat there and I just talked to the Lord and I said, now what? What do I do now? And of course, God doesn't answer those types of questions, those black and white type of questions, but you have to go within. And so in prayer and meditation, I just heard, don't go dark. Don't go dark. What does that mean? You know, it's like the question I asked the Lord the night that Paul passed away, my husband. What are you trying to share with me? What are you telling me, Lord? Of course, I didn't get an answer, but then I heard in prayer and meditation, share my story. Okay, what story? Tonight, his passing, his illness, my life story. What story? But God, again, doesn't give you that information. You have to take that first step, and the second and third step will be revealed to you. So that night, when I heard don't go dark, I said, okay, I'm not going to go dark. And so with that, I set up a mindset. And I'm just going to share some points with you today about what I did during this season, because we're all in this together, not just during this season of 2020 going into 2021, but I'm talking about life, our journeys. Our journeys intertwine, whether I know you or not, meaning physically or not, our lives on some level connect. A couple of maybe 3 weeks ago, I was on a new social media app called Clubhouse, and I was in a room, as it's called, and I was listening to, and it's a room that I enjoy, and I think it's called Share the Stage. But with that said, it's Natalie Phillips and Sloan Reed, and they're the moderators of this room. And I was in the room listening, and there was a woman on it speaking about social media, and it was such an interesting thing because she had to me, she had such a I don't want to say just warm way about her, but she had a very clear cut, concise way of sharing about what not only what social media is, which I certainly understand that. I've been doing it for years, but the different platforms, how they integrate, how they work together, why they work together, and in a sense, breaking it down into small, manageable parts. And I said to myself, I really want to speak with this person. So I DM'd her, direct messaged she on Facebook, actually, not Instagram, but Facebook. She responded, and we had a chat this morning. And it was so funny because as I was sharing about myself, I shared about my family's business and how I worked with them, identifying from a market research standpoint what beauty products were needed. And this was 1982. And acrylic nails were just beginning. And so it was so funny because she said, well, back in the day, I called them porcelain. I said, wow, you're speaking my language. And so from that moment, we really gelled and connected, and you could see that connection. Now, I am very clear that I need help as I embark in this next evolution and phase of my life with social media, but God will guide me to that. I share that only because I met her in this clubhouse room, met her, didn't even meet her. I listened to her. I direct messaged she because there was something about how she presented herself that resonated with me. And we just had such a great connect today. And so you have to listen. And that's what I'm sharing, why I'm sharing this story. Because when God said to me, don't go dark, but again, he didn't send me an email, he didn't send me a text, it wasn't a DM on Facebook. It was just in my spirit, don't go dark. So I want to share with you today things I did during this season that have changed my life. Now, there are things that I have done religiously, I guess I would say, but in different fashions. But have become very clear on these. And one is your morning routine. So he said, don't go dark. How many people have you heard say, um, um, I've gained 15 pounds, or I just binge watched Netflix and all of that. Well, I didn't do that because it didn't go dark. I did my morning routine, got up, did it all, which is my goals and gratitude and my scripture and prayer work, and just listening to Rise and Grind, Glenn Lundy, and just take a sip. It's spring here in Texas, and the trees are budding, and so I'm sure the cedar out budding as well. But anyhow, I watch Glenn Lundy's Rise and Grind every morning, and so I didn't change my alarm. I got up at 4:15, did my morning routine, got dressed, and went down to the spa every day. Every day, I stayed with that morning routine. It kept it in that groove of, structure. The other thing is that, and I'm going to be really transparent with you, that I also said, and you'll see this in my blog and our e-blast that we send out today about habits. And, so here's that morning routine, what you do, but establish new habits and or continue with good habits. And I must be transparent with you. I still struggle with that daily exercise, but today is March 22nd, a year and a day from that day when I locked the door. And then this is the day a year ago that I went down and didn't go dark. So I'm working on that. We're always a work in progress. Don't be hard on yourself, but get up and every day in every way establish that. In Og Mandino's Greatest Salesman in the World, there are the 10 scrolls, and one is to create a new habit and become a slave to it. And so that takes that mindset. And the next one would be to stay in a positive mental attitude no matter what circumstance, no matter what is going on. It is a mindset. And so it's establishing that mindset. So it's a positive mental attitude, but it is establishing that mindset. that's building that muscle for it, because you have to have that mindset. You have to make that decision. So the habit goes really more hand in glove with your daily routine, but it is about establishing new habits. Now, for me, Italian, carbs are, bread. Never been a big pasta person, but carbs, absolute, and prosecco at night, absolute. And I am really working very diligently on changing those habits, and that and really becoming a slave to it. But again, it takes that attitude of positiveness, positive mental attitude, and changing that mindset. And it is staying with that, living each day as it could be your last. Now that really has been with me for really most of my adult life, because it gets back to a decision of having a positive mental attitude. It really is a decision, because no matter what negative thing is going on in my life, I make a decision every day in my gratitude and goals journal and my prayer work that this is going to be a great day. And it is, I wouldn't say necessarily I'm cognizant of that it could be my last, but truly as years go by and as I pass the sun the 70th time, I recognize that I need to um, just really relish each day, and each day that I wake up, and each day that I have the opportunity to serve you, and each day that I have the opportunity to do what I do and I love. So it is about that attitude of a positive mental attitude, and it is that mindset, to make that decision of that mindset, and to create those habits and live each day as it could be your last. I heard something so wonderful today on Clubhouse on the Breakfast of Champions room. You can go onto Facebook and find Shaka Dyson. And Shaka Dyson started off, he was one of the moderators in this room, and he shared, and he started out by saying he got some terrible news. It could be his last. I forget how he put it, but I don't think he said it was his last day. He did not say that, but something alluding to that there was a timeline about his life. Now, he's a good deal younger than I, but regardless of his chronological age and the time around the sun, he shared this. He built up the story to say that he was diagnosed over a year ago, but he didn't say this initially, but that he was diagnosed with diabetes. But he was a junk food eater. He was a soda drinker. He was not focused on his health. He was not focused on the food he ate. And he was then given this diagnosis, and he made a conscious decision to change his not only eating habits, but also exercise. And so with that, he has, for the last year plus, I'm not sure if it's a year and a half, not 2 years, he has changed his whole eating habit and lifestyle, and mindset too. He shared some other personal things, which I won't go into, but his mindset as well. He also didn't speak about it. He didn't rehash it. A lot of people didn't even know he was dealing with this, but he had lost weight. He was looking good, and but he didn't rehash it. And he recently went to his physician and had blood work done. And guess what? He doesn't have diabetes. His blood work is now in range of normalcy. So it was that mindset of changing his life. But what was fascinating is I had already written this out, and to prepare for this live. And I had already put these points together. And then he shared this about this. And it is about that decision of your mindset. And that mindset leads to that look at everything that has a silver lining. Everything. I had a conversation yesterday with my dear friend Jan Gibson, whose husband passed away in a month's time, and he was diagnosed with cancer all over his body in about a week after this last year. And then in 4 weeks' time, he passed and went on home to Jesus. And if you were to listen to Jan yesterday with me, you would hear that attitude of positiveness. You heard her faith, her love, and also the fact of this silver lining, that she was able to speak about everything that she has learned through this horrible, horrible situation, losing the love of her life, the man that has just, they'd only been married 8 short years, and that was such a, not a teacher in her life, but she, as she said, she learned so much from Rick. But she looked at everything from a positive place and a silver lining. So it was, so impactful to me to listen to her and share with her. I mean, it wasn't a one way, a speech to me. We were conversing and we were speaking about things that I have experienced through this same season, where so many people have lost so much and so many people have been challenged mightily. But even if you haven't lost a loved one or haven't lost a job, or maybe even have, that there's always a silver lining in that God is always speaking to us through every circumstance, everywhere. Stand tall, take that first step. The second and third step will be revealed to you. That's Psalm 37 to me. Stand tall, take that first step. But it won't happen unless you have set up that mindset. Because if Jan wasn't walking in faith and love and that positive mindset, she would never be able to see the gifts that she's receiving right now through the circumstance, in the circumstance, and from the years of being blessed to have Rick with her. So it is about looking in that silver lining. But guys, it all gets back to that mindset, that attitude, that positive mental attitude, that mindset, the decision to have it, decision to live life like it could be your last day. Until the last moment that Rick lived in his body, he had a positive mental attitude. His story is glorious of that last month, actually. And lastly, there's always hope and infinite possibilities just over the horizon. There's always hope. Never lose hope. Never. And hope to me is an action word. It's living in hope. It's living in that faith. Faith is a substance of things hoped for, but the evidence not yet seen. So live in that hope, knowing that this day will go on, but live in this day no matter what the circumstance is, good or bad. Whatever person or thing you're dealing with, it does not matter. Have that. It's like your bulletproof vest of taking on that positive mental attitude. But it starts with that morning routine, because I'm just going to go back to don't go dark. If I had said, oh, yeah, oh, God, just, not turn off, but even change or turn off the alarm, roll over, sleep in, get up at 11 o'clock and on, I would have established another habit pattern. I would have established, because we were in that structure, and many people still are all over the world. But you have to make a conscious decision to live in a certain, not only mindset, yes, but it starts with that morning routine. And actually, one of the most difficult things I've had, because I've been reorganizing this since May of 2018, reorganizing this pattern. No, would have been 19. Lose sight of the time now. But regardless, it was 18. 2018, May of 2018, I really plugged into rise and grind and that morning, getting up early and that morning routine. And that started it. So my muscle was built by the time March 2020 came. So I was in that habit as I said earlier, it's that not just that morning routine, but establishing that habit and becoming a slave to it. And yeah, sometimes I fall off that because in October, for instance, I got the flu. I thought it might have been COVID. It wasn't. I had a COVID test, but I lost energy, and so I kind of started getting into a bad habit of not getting up at 4:15. So I gave myself a hall pass. I said, sleep in until about 5:36, and so I started though that new habit of 5:30 to 6, still not late, but 5:30 to 6. And what I also started doing then I started staying up too late, because by the time, well, I shouldn't say by the time, in order to change that habit back in 18, I had to go to bed earlier because I'm kind of a night owl. So I had to change that going to bed later, like at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, to 11 o'clock to be able to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I was kind of shifting it. And in the last few months, I've been shifting it back where and it makes a big difference on every level. But you have to plan that morning routine the night before to enable yourself to get up at that time and do that morning routine. So I just thank you for having me with you today and sharing, because I hope this helps someone. Because people are still struggling mightily. I know that. I talk to people every day. And so, with that, I hope that this has helped you. Please share this out. This is on YouTube. This is also live on Facebook here. It will be on my website in the replays of the streams. It will be a link in my blog and in my e-blast. So come on to megandmartino.com and register and for our website, for our emails. Just put your information in there. You can also get my book, Hope and Possibilities, Just Over the Horizon. It's never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams. Never, 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 never. We'll go into that next week. But I just wanted to share this anniversary of what we've been through, and we all should give ourselves a pat on our back, gold star, and just know that if you have not established some of these things, it's never too late. Start now. So review these things. They're on my blog, they're on my e-blast. Also, put your name into the website content. We'll put you on our database. You'll get our weekly e-blast. And that way you'll also be able to know what's going on as I launch my new business course called Propel. I'm so excited about that. I've been evolving and for another time, but we'll go into that next week. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again on Friday for Unique Leaders Live, and then next Wednesday on Megan DiMartino Live. Have a blessed day. Thank you.